things in my past, yeah. Welcome to the new year. Me step out in faith and no fear. Blessings go find me.
Good morning, guys.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm a step ever gonna find. Oh yeah, yeah,
Got some technical
yeah. Money
difficulties
gonna
going on
find
this
me.
morning.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I miss the blessings gonna find me. Oh na 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 na. Me claim it, all of my blessings, me name it. With faith, me I go own it. Nothing shall get home it. Speak life, it is a new day. All things in my past, yeah. Welcome to the new year. Me step out in faith and no fear. Blessings go find me, yeah. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I miss if ever gonna find me here. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Money gonna find me here. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I miss the blessings gonna find me here. Oh na 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 na. Me claim it, all of my blessings, me name it. With faith, me I go own it. Nothing shall get home it. Speak life, it is a new day. All things in my past, yeah. Welcome to the new year. Me step out in faith and no fear. Blessings go find me, yeah. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I miss if ever gonna find me here. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Money gonna find me here. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I miss the blessings gonna find me here. Oh na na na
Good morning, Lucy.
na na
Thanks for connecting this
na.
morning.
Me claim it, all of my blessings, me name it. With faith, me I go own it. Nothing shall get home it. Speak life, it is a new day. All things in my past, yeah. Welcome to the new year.
Pray all you guys had a great weekend so far.
Blessings go find me, yeah. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I miss if ever gonna find me here. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Money gonna find me here. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I miss the
Please don't
blessings
forget
gonna
to go
find
ahead
me
and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Give us a thumbs up if you're enjoying these weekly sessions. Oh, and turn your notifications on.
Speak life, it is a new day. All things in my past, yeah. Welcome to the new year. Me step out in faith and no fear. Blessings go find me, yeah. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I miss if ever gonna find me here. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Money gonna find me here. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I miss the blessings gonna find me here. Oh na 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 na. Me claim it, all of my blessings, me name it. With faith, me I go own it. Nothing shall get home it. Speak life, it is a new day. All things in my past, yeah. Welcome to the new year. Me step out in faith and no fear. Blessings go find me, yeah. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I miss if ever gonna find me here. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Money gonna find me here. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I miss the blessings gonna find me here. Oh na 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 na. Me claim it, all of my
Good
blessings,
morning
me
again to
name
those of
it.
you just connecting with us.
Me I go own it. Nothing shall get home it. Speak life, it is a new day. All things in my past, yeah. Welcome to the new year. Me step out in faith and no fear. Blessings go find me, yeah. Oh yeah,
Sephoria, good
yeah,
morning to you.
yeah. I
Thanks
miss
so
if
much for
ever gonna
connecting this
find me
morning.
here. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Money gonna find me here. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I miss the blessings gonna find me here. Oh na 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 na. Me claim it, all of my blessings, me name it. With faith, me I go own it. Nothing shall get home it. Speak life, it is a new day. All things in my past, yeah. Welcome
Gonna get a couple more minutes, and we'll give some people time just in case they're running behind. Give a few more people time to log in.
Claim it, all of my blessings, my name it. With faith, me, I go own it. Nothing shall get home it. Speak life, it is a new day. All things in my past, yeah. Welcome to the new year. Me step out in faith and no fear. Blessings go find me, yeah. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I miss if ever gonna find me here. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Money gonna find me here. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I miss the blessings gonna find me here. Oh na 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 na. Me claim it, all of my blessings, my name it. With faith, me I go own it. Nothing shall get home it.
Good morning, Anita. Thanks for connecting this morning.
All things in my past, yeah. Welcome to the new year. Me step out in faith and no fear. Blessings go find me, yeah. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I miss if ever gonna find me.
Miss Hoy, thanks for connecting with us. Cam, what's up, my man? Thanks for connecting this morning.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I miss the blessings gonna find me here. Oh na 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 na. Me claim it.
Okay, we'll go ahead and get started, and those who are connecting a little bit later, we'll let them catch up in the replay. So, there's some interesting things that's going on in our country, as always. Just one of the most important things I think I want to just kind of touch on. There was a tweet sent out on yesterday by the president that was commending Elon Musk for the job that he's doing. And within that tweet, the president said Elon is doing a great job. However, I would like to see him more aggressive. As if what he's doing right now is not very aggressive. But I think that could have been a precursor to some things that may be coming down the pipeline. Good morning, Britt. I think that could be a precursor for some things that may be coming down the pipeline. So I want you guys to, just be aware that that's been said, which means that something may follow it. Something very extreme may follow it. And I don't want you guys to be caught off guard by it. I'm telling you, with all of the moving pieces that we have going on here, at the end of the day, the Lord is our God, and we are still under His care. And I don't think that there is anything that we should fear right now. Be concerned, but don't fear. You cannot walk in fear. You cannot live in fear. So I want to encourage you guys with that. So just in case something crazy breaks out on this upcoming week, I just, I wanted to make you guys aware, in fact, if you were not. But yeah, again, there was a tweet that was made by the president on yesterday and was saying that he would like to see Elon be more aggressive. And, of course, Elon retweeted it, later retweeted it. And I think his response was, I hear you loud and clear. So, yeah, I think there's going to be something coming down the pipeline. But I don't want you guys to be, I don't want you guys to be afraid of anything or walk in fear. But this morning, I want to talk to you about something possibly, perhaps you've heard a lot in growing up in the church community, Christian community. And I think the reason why I want to talk about it is because in Outlook 2025, I gave this prophecy about a spill of prosperity. And on this past week, I had a lot of time to really pray about some things, especially concerning the future, the future of my family, my kids, grandkids. And so I was praying about some things because I'm trying to make sure that I'm doing or spending the time I have left here. I'm trying to make sure that I'm spending that time preparing things for them that they won't have to, spend time preparing. It will be in place when it's time. And so I really start seeking God about like my generational wealth that I'm leaving behind. And the Lord said something to me that just kind of blew me off of my feet, because what he said. Well, I tell you what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna read a passage of scripture, and then I'm gonna get right back to the story. Okay. So in Proverbs, not Proverbs, in Psalm 112, the very first verse starts out by saying, "Praise ye the Lord. Blessed is the man that feareth the Lord, that delighteth greatly in his commandments. His seed shall be mighty upon the earth. The generation of the upright shall be blessed." Verse number 3 says, "Wealth and riches shall be in his house, and his righteousness endureth forever." Okay, so remember that verse number 3, wealth and riches shall be in his house, and his righteousness endureth forever. So now, again, I was praying, and the Lord said, I was praying about, leaving generational wealth and all this stuff. And the Lord said something to me, and I'm going to share what he said. Probably not verbatim, but, you know, I'll summarize what he was saying. He was saying to me, number one, exactly what we read in verse number 3. He says, he says, "Are you praying for wealth, or are you praying for riches? Because the two are not the same, although they come hand in hand," right? And so it challenged me for a minute to really go back and kind of be a little bit more specific as it relates to my prayers, you know. And so when I really started to dig into what, the Lord was saying to me, and was reminded of this passage that I just read, I realized that wealth wealth comes from within. Whenever you start preparing now, whenever you start preparing for generational wealth, and if that is your testimony, and I want to leave generational wealth behind and create generational wealth, understand that that is built from within. It comes with integrity. It comes with patience. It comes with consistency. It comes with endurance. And whenever you're building wealth, these things are the main ingredients of building wealth. So while many of you have purposed and intended in your heart to build generational wealth, you have to realize that sometimes the money is going to be the last thing to show up. That's going to be the icing on the cake. But the wealth is going to come from how grounded and how sober you are. Because you never hear about wealth in the Bible without a reference to the character of the one that is wealthy. As a matter of fact, let me do this. Let's go to Proverbs, I believe it's 13 and 22, one of our favorites. Proverbs 13, verse number 22. The scripture says, "A good man leaveth an inheritance for his children's children." Then it says, "The wealth of the sinner is laid up for the just." Do you see how it made character references before it mentioned wealth? It says, "A good man," is talking about his character, "leaves an inheritance for his children." Then he says, "The wealth of the sinner." So he's not, there is never a reference of wealth without, or there's never a reference to wealth with just money only. Every time you hear wealth referenced, it is talking about character. in the way that you are built. And so I want to encourage those of you who have this intent in your heart and this purpose, and you are of the mind that I do want to leave an inheritance for my children. I do want to build generational wealth. Understand that that is coming from character. You will be wealthy in your character before you receive riches. And so this passage that I just read, Proverbs 13 and 22, you can see it very clearly when it says, when it's talking about the wealth of the sinner is laid up for the just, it's talking about the character of another individual. So the transference of wealth that we've been waiting for and we believe that is coming and we've heard about it for years, understand that you have to have a certain character to receive it. Everybody don't qualify. I hate to say it that way. Everybody doesn't qualify. And if, in fact, you are to be a partaker, you understand that you have to have character. There are certain things that you have to have in place. And while you're working right now, while you're working and while you're waiting, understand that God may be building or building character in you so that you're able to house a wealth of whatever and riches, right? And so, like, the two are separated. If you go back to Psalms 112, the two are separated in verse 3. It talks about wealth and riches. So they are not the same, but they do come hand in hand. They do come hand in hand. They can come hand in hand. And so some people have riches, but they're not wealthy. And we know that. We see this all the time in Hollywood. We see people are able to acquire extremes amount of money. And then we hear the stories to follow. We hear the character to follow. And we see some of them rise to the top and fall faster than the rise. And so we don't want that to be our story. In the way that God protects us from ourselves is he will begin to gradually build wealth in us through character. He will begin to build wealth through us or in us through different things like, your relationship. If you're praying, you're believing God to do this for you, you got to have some type of relationship with God. Your prayer life got to be on point. You have to be able to spend time in the presence of the Lord. And let me say this, when it's time to pray, I learned something so valuable yesterday when I was praying. Whenever you pray, usually, well, I can't say usually, I'm going to say me. Whenever, for many years, I thought that whenever I went to pray, get this, I was going to pray to seek out the mind of God, and I was going to pray to see what God had for me in terms of instructions and all this other stuff. I thought that prayer was the place that I would receive and see those things, only to realize that prayer is not for me to go and inquire or investigate the will of God, or to go and be nosy about what God's going to do and what he has planned for me and others. Prayer is the place that you go not to see God, but to show God your heart. Yeah. Prayer is where you go to show God your heart. I hope you're hearing me. Whenever whenever you um whenever you get ready to pray, or whenever you go into prayer, the way you pray, the posture that you come in to prayer with, it shows God your heart. Your heart is revealed, and that is you personally. Even though the Lord knows your heart without you doing anything, but prayer is the most transparent and vulnerable moment that you have with God, or time that you have with God, because it's when you willfully disrobe your heart before God and says, God, look, this is me. This is where I'm at, my current state. My heart is in this condition, and as a result, I need you. you know, um, or you expressing gratitude, whatever. But understand that this is the reason why the scripture says in the New Testament, if you have a gift and you have an alt with your brother, before you offer it before the Lord, make sure that you go and you get it right with your brother first, because the heart is exposed in prayer. The heart is exposed in prayer. And you don't want to boldly expose a heart that's not right before the Lord, right? And these things are a part of becoming a wealthy person. Whenever you can show up before the Lord and you're rich in the substance of your heart. And then God understands that he could trust you with the riches of this world, so to speak. And the riches of this world, I mean, just like you got different tax brackets, you have different brackets of what we call rich, you know. Um, so, some people rich, some people rich, and then you got people that's filthy rich. Then you got people that's stupid rich, you know. And so I believe all of that is determined by the heart, the character, and how wealthy an individual is. So those of you who are working and you're waiting and you're saying, God, when is it going to come? Understand that he's just making you more wealthy as an individual, you know. So you have an abundance of character. You have an abundance of patience. You have abundance of understanding, an abundance of insight. You know, you have an abundance of love and compassion and all of these things. The fruit of the spirit. It's you're wealthy in those things. And once you have mastered those things, he'll begin to add the other things to you. He'll begin to add the other things to you. And so when the Bible says, seek ye first the kingdom of God and all of his righteousness, these things will be added unto you. He's talking about seeking out the character of God, because there's no other way to say it, you know. There's no other way to say it. And I pondered it. I searched it out yesterday, just kind of like meditating within myself. I had the most of the day to myself without bother from any phone calls or text messages or anything like that. And I was really sitting with this, and I realized that, yeah, okay, I get it. Because if you are determining the type of inheritance that you'll be able to leave, or if you're pondering the generational wealth that you are able to create or creating, if you're determining that by a dollar amount, you probably be discouraged more often than not. It's determined by the character. It's determined by the wealth of the character. How wealthy are you um, as a person? Do you have a wealth of information? Do you have a wealth of anything? And whenever you start building a wealth of a certain thing, just understand that's what the thing that God is getting ready to add riches to. People who have a wealth of knowledge as it relates to medicine, those people are able to partake in the riches of a medical career because they have a wealth of information. That's how college and education works. You build a wealth of information, a wealth of insight about a thing, a wealth of expertise about a certain area, and you're able to receive profits from the area where you have a wealth of knowledge. And if, now watch this, if in fact you have a wealth of knowledge about, I want you guys to hear me. If you have a wealth of knowledge about your lack and your poverty, and that's all you have a wealth of knowledge about, guess what you can receive? Guess what you qualify for? So you have to understand how wealth and generational wealth is curated. You have to understand that, because it's not like what we say or what we thought or what we've been taught. I wish I would have been taught this a long time ago, because I would have given myself over to other things more than what I did. But I just, I was waiting. The wealth of the wicked is laid up for the just. I thought it was going to be a transference of wealth. And one day God was going to tell all the bad people, all the sinners, give all your money to the church folk, But unfortunately, that's not how it goes. And we have to be able to build. We have to be able to build wealth in our character. Our character has to be wealthy, have a wealth of knowledge in certain things. Because now watch this. It is impossible. It is impossible to be wealthy in certain areas without profit. Your wealth will produce its own profits. I mean, I don't know how else to say it. Whenever you give yourself over to certain things, I promise you will begin to build a wealth of expertise and knowledge in that area. And people will seek you out. Opportunities will seek you out. You'll walk past doors that you didn't even plan to knock on, and they'll swing open for you, right? Because you have a wealth of knowledge of a certain thing, or a wealth of information, a wealth of love, compassion. All of these things, they unlock doors. And I promise you, it's more doors than what you would plan to work on, or knock on. And so, again, these are the things that I think contribute. This is the main ingredient that contribute to building generational wealth. It's allowing it to be built in your character first. Because again, anytime you hear about wealth, you'll always hear about character referenced in some place. It's not too far from the mention of wealth, because it takes character. It takes character to manage wealth. And your wealth is actually the offspring of your character. Yeah. And if you just think back until to a time whenever your character was not all the way up to par, whether it was your work ethic or not, you could have been one that go to work and really try to do everything you could to do a minimum amount of work and carry out your responsibilities to the absolute minimum. You'll see where that affected you and it cost you. And then you can go back and you can see where you really begin to take your job serious, or whatever you're doing. When you begin to take it serious and invest time and increase your knowledge and your insight and gain a wealth of information about what it is you're doing, you see that it's easy for promotion to come that way. It's easier, and it happens. It's not a thing that you're just waiting in the distance on. There is no way that you could say, I want to be a brain surgeon, and just because you're believing God to be a brain surgeon and you have the faith the size of a mustard seed, and that's all it takes and you believe that you receive, and you're not going to become a brain surgeon except you go and you acquire the wealth of knowledge that it takes in order to be so. I'm saying to you, right where you are today, I want you to hear me. God is working on you. He's working on you in areas that you may not realize yet. He's working on you, and he's building character and wealth in you, so that whenever the riches accompany the wealth, you will have everything you need to properly manage it and maintain it. But he's building wealth in you right now. And even though it's not the way that we've seen it or the way that we've perceived it in times past, I'm telling you today that this is what God is doing. If you go back and you think about the last few months 6 months or the last year of your life, there are things that God's been building in you, and you're becoming better in those areas. I'm saying it's the same. The same is true when it comes to the riches. He's building you up so that you'll have the character to keep these things. You may not even realize how much God is building in you. You may not even realize it, but He is. He's building in you. He's working on you. He's working things in your favor. He's laying things out. You wonder why you have a certain, just a random desire for a thing that you never have before in life. It's because God is trying to build wealth in that area. Whenever you become obsessed with just like receiving and learning information about certain things, it's because God is building you in those areas. And now all of a sudden you want to commit to a thing that you've never before wanted to commit to. And whenever you start committing to it, you realize that you are being blessed as a result of your commitment to the thing. That's God building wealth in you. And riches accompany wealth. You need wealth to house riches. If not, you will probably end up, passing this life a rich fool. That's what the Bible was saying. That's what the Bible was talking about when the rich man said he was going to tear down his old storehouse, build a new one, and hoard up all of his harvest. God said, "You fool! Tonight your soul will be required of you." In other words, you're about to get ready to die in a few hours. And what profit a man to gain the whole world and lose his soul? Yeah. And so this is what I want you guys to really ponder moving forward. So don't necessarily allow yourself to complain about how long it's taking. Don't complain about the route. Rather focus and see what areas of your life is God really challenging you in. What areas is He really building character? And you look at those areas. He may not be working on all areas at one time, but He's working on some. If this is your intent, if you're praying this prayer, if this has been your prayer for some time, Lord, I want to be able to leave inheritance for my children, my children's children. I want to be able to create generational wealth for the generations to follow me. You better understand that He's going to be working on some things for you to build that. He's going to be working on some things for you to build that. But riches, if your riches show up before your wealth, I promise you, you won't be able to keep it. And again, think back about how much money has touched your hands in your lifetime, right? And as soon as you get that, I want you to get that on your mind right now. How much money has touched your hands in your lifetime, right? Okay. Now, let's think back. Where was your character during those times? If, in fact, you had the character that you have today, do you feel like you would have been able to better manage the money that's come through your life? Of course. Of course. I could barely have this conversation with y'all without getting nauseated. Because, I've touched money in my life. God has been good to me. Unfortunately, I did not have the character or the wealth of wisdom or knowledge that it took to really capitalize and properly manage what has passed through my life. And so now the Lord is building character. He's building a wealth of wisdom, a wealth of knowledge, so that when the riches, or as the riches come, I'm able to properly steward it. I'm able to properly steward it. You know, and whatever so if you have a magic number in your mind, you saying, God, this is how much money I need you to bless me with before I get out of here, or this how much money I need you to bless me with before the end of 2025. I want to challenge you to go and begin to empower yourself with knowledge. Build a wealth of knowledge about, how would you pay your taxes if that came? How would that part work? There's so many things there's so much knowledge that we need in order to be able to maintain riches. And I think that you should begin to seek those things out. Now, I know you say, well, Pastor, you talking about money today. I thought we was going to be talking about something else. No, I'm talking about the fear that is trying to grip this country. Economically, we had 6,000 jobs that were lost on last week. More to come. There was an email sent out to all federal workers saying, listen, you need to send me 5 or 6 bullets of what you completed in your job this week. Failure to do so will be considered a resignation. I mean, like, people are tripping right now. I don't want you to be afraid. And I want you to know that there is more ways to prosper than just depending upon someone else to bless you. You're going to allow God to make you wealthy in character. And your wealth in character will attract the riches that you desire. And you'll be able to house it. Listen, we're just about out of time. I hope that I've said something this morning to provoke you to think deeper. I hope that I've said something that will provoke you to begin to just search out your own self and soul and to inquire of the Lord, Lord, what areas do I need to work on in order to be able to properly manage what it is that I'm requesting? I challenge you to do that. And I hope that what I've said challenges you to do that. So we're just about out of time. I want you guys to enjoy the rest of your evening. Prepare to have a great week next week. Don't allow what you may hear or see unfolding in the news. Don't allow it to provoke fear in you. Understand that we are not people of fear, but we are people of faith. And we believe God beyond whatever is in front of us. We believe God on the other side. We believe the God after this. We believe in the this too shall pass God. Yeah. So be encouraged, you guys. And if you need me before next Sunday morning, 10:30 a.m. Central Standard Time, reach out to me. Before you continue your evening, I want you all to take a minute. If, in fact, you're being blessed by these sessions weekly, I want you to take time before you continue and go and make a donation. Go and make a donation. I know you can go anywhere on the internet and tap in and get a good word and somebody encourage you. But wherever you're doing that, I believe that sometimes we should also invest back into what it is that is being invested into us. And so I'm asking you guys, go and make a donation today. And until then, I will see you guys on next Sunday morning, 10:30 a.m. Central Standard Time. If you need me before then, hit me up. If not, I love you. I bid you blessings and Godspeed.
Tell them me claim it, all of my blessings, me name it. With faith, me I go own it. Nothing shall get home it. Speak life, it is a new day. All things in my past, yeah. Welcome to the new year. Me step out in faith and no fear. it's a blessing.